Hello, this is part one of how to make a granny square. In this video I am going to show you how to work in the round instead of going back and forwards in rows. I'm also going to teach you how to do a treble crochet, which in American terms is a double crochet, but in British terms it is a treble crochet. And in this granny square, you can see, if I hold it like that and stretch the stitches out, a granny square is made up of 3 trebles stitched together to look a bit like a bunch, and there's 4 initially, and then each round, so each colour in this one is a different round, and each round it gets more and more stitches as we go round. So in this lesson I'm going to teach you this section here. So at the end we will have a little square in which to build on in subsequent lessons. Okay, so with this tutorial, this one here is made with double knitting yarn, which is nice and thin. It's good for a blanket. I'm going to work in this Aran weight yarn, which is a little bit thicker, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing a bit easier. I've got a 5.5mm hook. I've also got my scissors, snip, and I've got my needle to sew in ends, which I've just realised is a bit bent. So that's a bit rubbish, but I'll still do the job. Okay, so we're going to start with a slip stitch, and we're going to cross over the yarn like that, fold it over so you can see through the middle. I'm going to pick up that stitch there. Okay, pull it a little bit tighter, and we're going to start with 6 chains. So 1, yarn over and pull through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, let's count those. Make sure you've got the right number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I nearly thought I hadn't done enough, but there's the 6th one hiding underneath my hook. Okay, so get yourself comfy, hold your yarn how you like to hold it. What we're going to do is we're going to do a slip stitch into the first chain that we made. So for me that one is there. So I'm going to go into that one, and then I'm going to do yarn over, and I'm going to pull through the loop that I was in and the loop that's on my hook, like that. And that's called a slip stitch. And can you see that you have there got a lovely loop? Okay, so what we're going to do now is work all of the stitches that we make. Instead of working into each individual chain, we're working into a much larger hole in the middle. And actually that's what makes a granny square a good pattern to start with, because it's very easy to see where your stitches go. So sometimes people find that a lot easier. It's a bigger stitch and there's more things to learn about the stitch, but it's easier to see your stitches when they build up. So, okay, now the first thing we have to do, if I just pop this down and bring this one back in, where's it? So I started here. Now, can you see that these stitches, a treble is quite a long stitch, and if we were to start from right from here, the stitch that we stitched would be quite wonky. So we need to raise where our hook and our yarn is to start with, because each stitch is built from the top downwards. So this stitch here is actually, it's not a treble, it is some chains worked to the same height that the trebles are. So there's a treble, and then this is a starting chain there. So we're going to lift our work up so that our trebles aren't squished, we're going to do 3 chains now, and that is going to count as our first treble. It's just going to pretend to be one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got 3 chains there ready, and because each of our little clusters of stitches, there's 3, we're going to do 2 trebles, and we're going to do those into the center circle. So follow on with me. We are going to do yarn over, so it looks like you've got 2 loops on your hook. We're going to insert the hook into the center of our loop. We're going to do yarn over again, and we're going to pull that from front to back. So now it looks like we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to do yarn over, and we're going to pull through the first 2 loops. So we've got 2 left. We're going to do yarn over again and pull those through the remaining loops. That was your first treble stitch. If you have a little look there. So we've got the top chain. That would have been the second loop that was on your hook. We've got the twists of the stitch, and that's where you went into, and it's caught the circle that we've crocheted in. So I'm just going to wiggle that over next to the chains, and we're going to do another treble stitch. So let's do that now. We're going to do yarn over, insert the hook into the middle, yarn over again, and pull that through to the front. Then we're going to do yarn over, pull through 2 loops, there we go, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Okay, so we've got a little group of 3 stitches there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let's have a look back at this one here. Once we've done these ones, we need to turn this corner. So that's what we're going to do now. We are going to do that with chains. So we're going to chain 2, and then if you turn that to 3 o'clock, if you like, the cluster you've just made, we're going to do the same stitches, still working into this circle. So we're going to do yarn over, okay, into the middle, yarn over again, and pull through. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. Okay, so that's your first treble of this cluster. We're going to do yarn over again, 2 loops on the hook, into the center, yarn over again, through to the front, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2. So that's your second treble. We'll do that again, yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, into the centre, yarn over and pull through to the front, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we've got our 3 trebles there. We're going to change the corner again, so we're going to do 2 chains, 1, 2. Okay, turn it round again so that the cluster that you've just done is pointing to 3, the first one's pointing to 6, and we're going to do another treble. Yarn over, into the centre, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and through the first 2, yarn over and through the second 2. That's the first one. Yarn over and into the centre, yarn over through to the front, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the second 2. Okay, so we can quite clearly see 1, 2 stitches there. Okay, yarn over into the centre, yarn over through to the front, yarn over, pull through the first 2 stitches, there we go, and yarn over, pull through the second 2. Okay, so we've got another cluster of 3. Going to turn the corner another time. Okay, move your work round. I'm going to do 1 chain and 2. Let's do our final group of 3 trebles. Yarn over into the centre, yarn over through to the front, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. Okay, another one, yarn over into the centre, yarn over through to the front, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. One more, yarn over into the centre, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the second 2. And that's your last treble of that round. But as you can see, with a bit of fluff on my wool, as you can see, we need 1 more corner. So we're going to do chain 2, and then we need to join it to here so that it's a solid square. So look back at where you began, and we can see our 3 chains that we made to pretend to be our first treble. Okay, so you need to find your third one, 2, 3, so it's the top one. In fact, if I just take that out and show you the trebles. So if you look at the top there, you can see the difference between the stitches. There's the top of that treble and that one. I point it out with my smaller hook. There's a treble and there's a treble, and you can see them because they look quite striking compared to this chain. And you can see that that there is the top of this treble, that belongs to there. So next to it must be the third chain. So if you can't count it upwards for any reason, you can look at the stitches before and see that that is the third chain there. So what we need to do is insert our hook into the third chain, the one at the very top. Okay, pull yarn over and pull that through and pull that through again. So you've done a slip stitch to join it. Then, because I'm going to change colour when I do the next round, I'm going to finish there. If you wanted to continue in the same colour, which is just as effective and it will look very beautiful, what you would want to do is you'd want to do some slip stitches here. So I'll show you that now. You would slip stitch into the top of this first treble. So just underneath, where I've put my hook is underneath the very top of that treble. So it looks like there's 2 loops on the hook because I've gone underneath that V. And I'm going to slip stitch there. So I'm going to catch hold of yarn over, pull through and pull through again. Okay, and I'm going to insert into the next one. I'm going to do yarn over, pull through and pull through again. And then I'm going to slip stitch into this corner space here. So I'm going to insert my hook in there, yarn over and pull through. So I've slip stitched, and slip stitch it's barely a stitch, it's just moving along, because this space here will be the next space to do your next stitches. So that will be where you would take your hook if you were going to do the next round in the same colour as your first round. That's for you. If you're not going to do that, I'm going to undo my stitches, and I am finishing where I slip stitched into our third chain. Okay, so if you're changing colour, that last bit was not for you. So I'm going to pull my stitch a little bit like that. I'm going to snip off my tail. I'm going to pull my end of my yarn through the loop there. There we go. So there is our first round. You can pull on the loop in the middle. If you wanted a smaller circle in the middle, you would make less chains. So maybe you would make 4 chains instead of 6 chains. It's personal preference really. I'm going to now be a very good crocheter and sew my ends. I don't, as a rule, sew my ends straight away, but it's a really good practice to get into, because if you were to make a massive blanket with lots of granny squares, you would have 2 ends per round to sew in. If you left all of those till the last minute, you'd be very sorry about it. So I would take my needle, thread it up. I wonder if I can do this still in shot. I might have to look over my camera. There we go. Okay, so then I would weave in and out. Can't see. There we go. Weave in and out. Just catch a few bits underneath and sew those ends in. And believe me, it is so much better. But of course, being crocheters, we want to get on with the fun stuff. We don't want to be sewing in our ends. But honestly, it is less painful to do it now. So that's what I do, and I'll do that one as well in a minute. off camera. Okay, so that's your first granny square part. I suppose it's your first granny square, it's a miniature one. The next round, in the next video, so in here, it's those blue, the blue sections. They are crocheted, where you crocheted all these into this middle circle, these ones are crocheted in our corner spaces. So it's always the big holes that we're working in. There's no fiddly chains to work in here. Okay, so I will see you in our next video. Have a little practice of those. You could always make a few middles and work it that way. You don't have to wait till the next tutorial. You could make a few of these ones and we can add to them in the next tutorial. All right, have fun and I will speak to you soon.